Well, folks, Aristo is back, as you can see. He's going to be leaving for the next while, so he wanted to get this video done today. And his title that he selected is "The Buck Stops Here." And I don't think he means with himself. He said, but Aristo, what do you mean by "the buck stops here"?
All right. Well, once again, you wanted a title, Ron, and I think I had one before I came on. But, you know, of course, the camera turns on. There's a big light shining in my eyes. So I'm going to go blank as usual. And I picked something that's cliche, okay? So the buck stops here. It's true. It's cliche. And it kind of, it encompasses the meaning of what I wanted to actually convey when I was thinking about what I was going to talk about today. But as usual, it's off the cuff again. As much as I try to think about what I'm going to talk about, it goes out the window when the camera turns on. And we're going to see if we can pluck it, not out of thin air, but out of the residues of former pondering, shall we say. And let us reconstruct a certain concept that, again, as I said in my previous video, has been repeated. Because for me, I can talk about more complex stuff and more specialized stuff, but right now in this context, I just want to emphasize that we are response-able. We are able to respond if we dare cultivate that, and it is not easy. So there are forces out there, there are causes, there are influences. So let's not just say people or these people or those people of this nationality, but there are influences that do not want us to respond. They want to redefine us. They want to redefine how we behave. They want to redefine how we define ourselves. They want to redefine who we are, what comes out of our awareness and interacts with the world that we identify as ourselves. They want to reach into our most intimate areas. And I say they, again, I'm not specifying people, places, things, non-corporeal forces, anything. It doesn't matter, really. I mean, we're focused on who's at fault, who's to blame, who did this, so we can allegedly reach out and punish them or take them away. That is not an effective attitude in my understanding. And actually, I wrote a blog the other day, or yesterday actually, that, it's not my opinion. This is my experience. This is looking into this and experimenting with this and interacting with this. So it's not just mind control, it's identity control. So the buck stops here is not just affirmed by some cosmic force or the reality or whatever. It's affirmed by what is trying to oppress us. We don't have to define it. We don't have to fall for the crap of, oh, this is a conspiracy theory or not a conspiracy theory. We have to, I mean, it behooves us to take what we think is our reasoning capacity and let it take a step back and collect data with our feeling sense. Collect information, and I don't mean information in the sense of analysis. I mean basically feel what's going on and discern what's going on and respond to what's going on within yourself and allegedly outside of yourself. If you do a good search on the internet, you're going to find mostly bullshit, but bullshit, if it doesn't get on you, as I said in some other context once, if bullshit doesn't get on you, it's good fertilizer. But bullshit is being thrown at us, so we need to dodge it. And we need to learn to clean it off of ourselves, even at the sake of being incorrect. Because it's not about being right, as you say. It's about being, shall we say, about being clear. Because being right is a concept that you want, the way it's usually understood. Yes, it is. We should be correct. We need to find the truth, or at least we need to find something effective. If effective, that's what's going on. But we need to find something effective. So for something to be effective, it needs to be correct for us. And if it is correct for us, because we do share common ground with others, it can also be correct for others. But what matters primarily is we are the laboratory of our understanding. We are the laboratory of our conclusions. It is not just something that comes off like this. Oh, it's spinning out there in my head, you know, and then I just speculate or daydream or think magically or whatever. No, this is hard work in order to not just figure out things theoretically, but because when you do, you know, it helps if you share with others. To have the conviction of what you're saying isn't just being stubborn. It's being aware of all the work you put into it. And then being aware that even your work is no guarantee that what you have to say is the truth, but that doesn't matter. If you test it and it works for you, then if you want to share it, the best way that it can work for others is if you share it through your common ground. Thus, it can be modified on their terms and can work for them. You see, the truth is not a monolith. It's not monolithic. It's not homogeneous. It's not one thing. It's multifaceted. Its essence is singular. It is one essence, one dynamic, and thus it cannot truly be put into words and encompass the whole thing, as we say. But since all existence, in manifestation at least, it's variated. There's variety. There's many, many things. There's colors to the spectrum. There's notes to a, you know, musical scale, et cetera, et cetera. And all that creates meaning. Well, then, if you're going to convey so-called truth, you need to understand who you're talking to and what their situation is in the sense of at least feeling it. And that's called empathy. Okay, so empathy is necessary. And we know all this. I mean, we've been told all this. We told other people all of this. We're sharing all of this. But then something comes and we either forget it or distort it or fall to something else. The situation is, in my observation, that our narrative is being fucked with, our personal narrative, and that should be sacred. It doesn't matter, though. I mean, you can go tell a bully, I have rights, and the bully's still going to punch you. Your rights don't matter in terms of they are not a force unto themselves. They're only a force to strengthen your resolve, to strengthen your conviction, to strengthen your stance in the face of everything that confronts you. And to also strengthen your ability to cultivate what is to your advantage, to cultivate your resourcefulness. So yes, the buck stops with you. Who's it going to stop with? Because you are being redefined as an ineffective nobody. And anybody who goes and tells you you're an ineffective nobody is full of shit. But anybody who tells you you're special can also be full of shit. Okay? Because I'm not telling you you're special, because that is not independent of who we are. We treat these labels as if we can rest upon them. We can sit upon them and they will cuddle us and caress us and massage all the woes away like little children. We are not little children. We who can actually make a difference are not. Because as I said in other videos, if adults identify as little children, the pedophilic influences are going to molest them. The adults are there to protect the little children.
Yeah, and if we just get to the place of innocence where we blank out our minds, like I have a friend now that's pushing that thing of we end up in a state of perfect bliss, which is nothingness.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's not perfect bliss. It's not even bliss. It's denial. It's opiation. You know, it's hopium, opium, opium, opium. You know, you can call it whatever you want. It's bullshit. You know, perfect bliss is interactive with the world. You do not phase out in so-called perfect bliss. It's not bliss. This is fear. Fear says, I don't want to interact. I don't want to deal with things. So and that's not even innocence. It's ignorance. From the moment you are in denial, okay, since even if you're denying you're in denial, you're not innocent anymore. You're actually turning away in terror, which means your innocence, your virginity has been popped. You've been screwed. Only traumatized people run away in terror, you know. So it's hypocrisy. I don't care what they say, you know, perfect. Look, if what you're doing is creating an effect, if you see it, if you experience it, and you know it, and if this effect is constructive in your life, and I don't mean getting you a better job or better relationships, I mean in the terms of who you are, the definition of you. If you just phase out as a nobody, then you are not a factor of manifestation. If you want to become transcendent, then manifestation means nothing to you. So fine, stay and do whatever you want. That's no problem. And you think you can just bliss out and inspire other people. People feeling bliss is not empowering. Becoming one with the bliss.
It's numbing.
That's not bliss, you see. That's opium. It is. It's denial. And yes, there is a part of us, a little corner that may be free of everything, where some memory of original innocence lies, and we seek that. We seek to run back into the womb. But the fact of the matter is, the forces, and maybe some people say the devil is actually the assistant of God, in some way, forcing evolution forward because there's inertia, whereas God doesn't want to play the bad guy. That's just a certain viewpoint that I don't have. But the thing is that psychopaths, if we are prone to denial and prone to regression every time things get difficult, then we are prone to losing our definition as human beings. And so, maybe those who are prone to bliss out just don't want to be in manifestation anymore. Or that they don't want to be active parts of manifestation. They want to be like animals. Animals are taken care of by their instincts. They suffer a lot, and in many ways more than humans. But, they don't have the initiative humans have. See, so if we all revert to that state, an animal-like state, whether it's an angelic type of animal or a blissful type of animal or whatever, eventually the forces that require or challenge something in creation, which is the human, the image and likeness, the human, something in creation to take initiative and navigate the situation so the divine, that is, shall we say, the cause that we're all seeking and thinking is our parent, is supposed to be the source of within. It's supposed to be what comes out of us. This is where I see evolution going, where we become divine, but that doesn't mean we bliss out. It doesn't mean we become part of a greater whole, because we are holographic. Holographic has been misunderstood, the way I've been reading it online, as some kind of illusionary thing. It's been misunderstood as, because it's done with lasers in terms of the physical process. So everything is light, it's insubstantial, it's just information. No, it doesn't mean that. Holographic means that hologram. It means everything contains the whole. All patterns are perspectives of the whole. Within you is the whole. All the patterns that you are image and likeness of the whole. Let's put it that way. So it's not just humans that are image and likeness of the divine. Everything is. All manifestation is. But humans are a crossroads, a nexus that is capable of self-definition and altering self-definition. So our humanity is being taken away from us. We are being raped of our primary resource, which is our humanity. Do we want our humanity? Maybe we want to be divine or angelic or alien or I don't know what, or animal. That is fine. It's not a judgment. But then we should not pretend to be human and influence others to do the same, because then we are simply not self-determining. Our self-determination ends when we cop out, and copping out is fine. Now that sounds bullshit. A lot of people are passive aggressive and say, oh, it's fine if you want to be an asshole. Oh, good. I love assholes. They're fine. They all have a place in nature. But that's a kind of disapproving type of thing. So yes, in this crisis, I wish that more people would be, and we all do. We all want this. We wish more people would get up and do something. However, at the same time, I do not wish anyone to sacrifice themselves for me or the whole or whatever. Self-sacrifice is a con job for the most part. You're cannon fodder. People are sent to wars with that ideology. You don't have to do that. There must be another way, you know, if that's necessary. Oh, yes, if some people were dying, then you should throw yourself under the bus, you know, whatever. Yes, but then you become manipulated and that becomes the status quo. You are defined as that. If you see that as an out, as a way, as a solution, then, you know, and the so-called psychopaths have the so-called resources right now, they're going to throw you under the bus with your permission. You see, that's the reality of all of these kind of solutions that people say that, oh, you know, they play by the rules. No, really, they don't, so-called they. The human influence of oppression does not play by the rules. Psychopaths don't have rules. They just make them up as they go along whenever it suits them. They stack the deck. They want us to play by rules because we are being bullshitted. We are being conned. We're being deceived to play by somebody's rules. And rules mean dictates, boundaries, cages. We are being binded when we acquiesce, when we give our permission. Permission is not something you do with a piece of paper. You don't give permission by signing your name in capital letters or small letters. That has no metaphysical basis. It has no basis in essence. It's simply a practice. It's a symbol. Okay, so you can empower the symbol and it will work for you. That's what people who call themselves magicians or occultists or whatever, that's in the West at least, and the East, and shamans, that's what they do. They empower symbols. The symbols affect the flow of events. So if you, but the essence of it is, what does it really mean to give permission? The buck stops with you. Everybody is passing the buck, but really this is funny because the buck stops with you, but somebody else is calling the shots. Somebody else is playing royalty. Somebody else is playing God, and yet the buck stops with you. You see, if they were truly God or royalty or really an authority, authorizing means creating. Authority means, or in Greek, it's archon. It's authority. That's what the word means. You know, so the archon is basically the one that calls the shots. The archons are really the kings and queens in society, or not the politicians that serve them, or even not them. It's this, maybe the spiritual forces behind them, you know. But to go around and say it's their fault is to forget that the buck stops with us. If it's their fault, you know, then we have no fault. Then we are innocent. Then we have no relation to the problem. If we have no relation to the problem, there is no problem. If there is no problem, what the fuck? WTF, capital letters, you know. So wrong, you know, just imagine a big red buzzer going off. So as they do in the game shows, and the bottom dropping out, because we, the fault, the gap, the crack, the opening, the void, the abyss, all of this is within us, you know. That is what it means to be response-able. When you can respond to the problem, and you are responding to the problem, I am responding to the problem by everything I do. We are not living naturally. You're not living the life you really want. If the genie came out of the bottle and said, Ron, what would you like, you know? How would you, Ron Van Dyke, irrespective of how you appearance or lifestyle or whatever, how would you want to redefine everything? You know, you would not choose where you are, who you are right now.
No, in fact, the lady that, I don't know if you saw the last couple of videos that I did, not the one with not the one that just went up a little while ago with Valentine. But the other two, there was this lady who is from East, all she says is Eastern Europe.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see any of that?
Yes.
She likes you, and she said she'd like to sit down with the three of us, sit down and talk. And she's apparently Muslim, or at least she has a Muslim background. I don't know if she actively follows it, but you know, I don't. She supposedly sent me some emails. She said she sent 3 or 4 emails. I haven't received a single one. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if they're being blocked. I've often wondered why some of the people that I used to get emails from, all of a sudden they stopped, and I don't know if they have the potential of messing with the internet, obviously.
Yes, they do. But if you can, especially from other countries, but it maybe if you open up another or one of your email addresses, give these people your email, a special email address different from other ones where they can send them to you, and maybe it'll work out.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Well,
sure.
I used to have like 10 or 12 emails. Now I have what, four of them that are active.
Do you have a Gmail account? The funny
Yeah, I
thing
have
is,
two Gmail accounts, a Yahoo account, and a mail.com account.
I see. And well, those accounts may be, blocked, but I think there's other ones that are safer, and you might want to look into that and then hand out to some people those emails. But it's interesting that, but at least you talk. How do you communicate that? You communicate through Messenger?
Oh, only on YouTube.
Facebook? Only on YouTube, huh?
Yeah, she's
Okay,
not
so
even
you
on
would have.
Facebook. She doesn't do Facebook.
Okay.
And I don't know, she likes you. I mean, she
Sure.
likes your videos, and she'd like to sit down with the two of us and
Yeah.
and
Well,
talk.
that's all well and good, but then again, the ambassador liked me too, and that was another story. But we'll see. I understand not being on Facebook. I'm barely on Facebook myself these days, and the whole thing of online is people think they can actually organize online, and I don't believe so. When you're surveilled like that, if you actually become a force to be reckoned with, even a little bit, you will be tampered with, you will be fucked with. So, if you can, and there's no other way, if somebody lives on the other side of the world, now the best thing to do is actually learn to help yourself in these days, because then you can actually affect your immediate environment, people with whom you have physical contact, your neighbors. I know you had problems, and the thing is, most people.
I mean, so many of them are the new age escapist people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, they're afraid. They're escapists for a reason. They're actually very, in their own way, very knowledgeable in the sense of, look, I don't want to get involved. I mean, so that means that they know that getting involved might get them into trouble. They want to get along, be along, and it's actually trendy to be liberal these days. Just as now it's trendy also to be alternative right, so to speak. And I'm speaking more about the United States phenomenon, and even in Western Europe. Then the rest of the world seems to be bombarded with these memes that are in that part of the world. So anyways, the thing is, what used to be avant-garde like 10 or 20 years ago now is mainstream practically, and thus distorted. So again, we need to get in ourselves and redefine ourselves. And the thing is, if enough people redefine themselves in their way without seeming weird or changing the form or the outward appearance too much, just the way they respond and the way they understand themselves and the way they feel and how they relate, these things are part of how we can redefine ourselves without getting into the so-called trends of social conditioning and political conditioning and this, that, and the other, Then the system will be confused because the system wants you to be a statistic. So it can control you, in that sense. And that's been said before. But how do you not be a statistic? Well, you be yourself, because we're all individuals. Individualism is the solution. But true individualism, where you become the center of your reality and responsible, I don't mean you create everything like some divine from scratch, ex nihilo or whatever. I mean that you stand up. And the fact of the matter is, when you look and hear and listen and feel around you, you are the center of your experience, of the experience that you define as you. Now, if we all define that, we will reinforce each other. Because if I reinforce my room, then, I need to reinforce the rooms next to it, or else it's going to fall apart. I need to reinforce the house. I need to reinforce the neighborhood. But my influence kind of fades the greater I expand my radius, at least physically. But then, this is going to affect my neighbor. And my neighbor may actually be inspired by that. The debates that we share on the internet may be inspiring, and they may be challenging. But if we are sitting here passively as children, listening in the classroom, or always like the other child, oh me, teacher, or I want to say my thing, or let's all say our thing. I want to be special and say my thing. you are not special in that context, just as you are not right. See, I'm using the words with the emotion.
That's minutes. 5 more minutes about.
What else? Seconds or hours?
5 more minutes.
Okay. So, I'm not right, but being correct for me is to the best of my ability is important. So I'm careful. I'm not special. However, I am me, and that's good enough. It doesn't mean that we are not equal, but that, we are not equal in the sense that we are not the same. So what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. So what I'm saying may not apply to everybody, but the thing is, you choose if it applies to you. If you choose no, that's fine. But labels and generalizations and all of this, they're going to happen, but they are mechanisms of communication. They're not absolutes. So reality is complicated. That's what I'm trying to say. Things are complicated. Things are messy. But just because they're messy doesn't mean we can't redefine them in a way that's orderly for us. So create inroads to the rest of our experience. It can happen. And it requires every single day and often every single minute to stand up and redefine yourself, to have a pep talk with yourself, to look yourself in the mirror and say, I am me and I am resourceful and I can and will move forward with all the resources at my disposal. I am not giving up. And it's not just not giving up, it's what can I do? Open up to that. And there will be, and usually there are always micro indications here and there. Now, if all you want is just to be left alone, I'm sorry, you're not going to be left alone. That's isolationism. You want to heal, that's different. You want to be empowered in order to be able to do whatever you want. That's different. But avoidance is not going to work because the world is hurting. And if you're avoiding it, then you are not recognizing the causality within you. Like I said, if you were innocent, then you wouldn't be experiencing any problems. Everything would be fine. However, there's a deception there because if you're in denial in an extreme form, you may be one of those who experiences things that are fine for now. And I say for now that, the radius of that crap is closing. The middle class in the world as a whole, I'm not just talking about the Western countries, but the middle class is shrinking. The middle class, metaphysically speaking, is that part of humanity where everything is fine. It's balanced, it's okay, but it's in denial that it would be fine if things got upturned and justice was sought out in the world. I mean, a lot of people's prosperity, even though they're good people, so to speak, depends on society running smoothly in the unjust way it's running. The way everything is connected, so nobody is innocent. And that doesn't mean you're guilty either. It just means taking stock is very important. Okay, that's all I wanted to say today. Excuse the rant once more. And of course, as you always say, and as my friends, the East Indians always say, namaste.
Namaste, Aristo. Thank you very much.